Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Cyber Tuesday. Woohoo! It's fantastic to see you all today. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late. So I'm going to move straight on to welcome our first speaker of the day, who is Rachael Percival. She is a cybersecurity consultant at Wolverhampton Cyber Quarter. She has 25 years' experience in cybersecurity, including 8 years in the military and 8 years in the police. This is a lady you probably don't want to mess with. So please give a very big hand for Rachael Percival.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for your time today. So I'm just going to be talking about, firstly, Richard, don't forget the close protection side of things. So if anyone needs hoiking out afterwards, if you get up to get a bit rowdy, then I'm the person. So I'll be talking about privacy, how it can sink or swim your business. You might think, well, I'm just an SME. However, you're more susceptible to attacks, sadly, and I'll go into a bit more detail why that is. So I'll be covering what is privacy, who are likely to target the businesses or yourself as an individual, what are the methods that these criminals use, and what can you do? How can you best protect yourself as a business? So PII, what is that? That's personal identifiable information. And what it is, it's what makes you unique. So it's things that your name, your age, your date of birth, your residence, your particularly your passport number, your driving license number, social security number, anything that is unique or directly links to you. What you can use to go out and gain finance, go and get a mortgage, go and set up a bank account, go and get your phone contract, whatever that may be. And each piece of those personal identifiable information is a golden nugget to the criminals. So if you look at it like that's piecing a jigsaw puzzle together, that is what they're trying to do against each and every one of us. Whether you're just the bog standard individual, if you like, that doesn't have a business, but guess what? You're an even bigger target if you do have a business. You may not be the next Elon Musk or Richard Branson as yet, hopefully one day, and you might be thinking, well, why and how is that relevant to me? Why would anyone be interested in me? So the information that they can gather on you is there's a price tag on your head, so to speak, including mine, on everybody's, because the more bits of information they have on you, the easier the target, the more vulnerable you are, the more susceptible you are to an attack. So who are these people that are likely to target you? There's a number of different types of criminals, and I'll start from the bottom, working the way up to the top. Starting off with script kiddies, as I know them as anyway, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember the 1980s war games, but there was a young lad, innocent boy, just enjoying his childhood, and he was playing his games at home on his computer, thinking he wasn't doing any harm, and that he was carrying out attacks on other countries and launching missiles and so on. Unbeknown to him, he had hacked into the government national infrastructure, and he was launching missiles from America to Russia. And there's obviously a consequence to every action. Now, he did it unknowingly, quite innocently, but on the other extreme of that, you've got state-sponsored nations where you're looking at more strategic level, and that's more country to country, trying to undermine one another with regards to their power, such as you've got Russia, China, America, Iran, perhaps arguably even the likes of ourselves. If we can undermine another country to show their vulnerabilities and security, then I guess their attitude is, why not? Obviously, there's a number of reasons why, but I'll leave that down to them. But we're talking months, if not years, of skilled individuals working for intelligence services and so on that are trying to gather and capture all of our data. Whether it's using it through digital assistants or through mobile phones. If you've got a device that connects to the internet, then guess what? Are you being tracked? Is your microphone being recorded and monitored at all times? Are you looking into hooking into the Wi-Fi? How do you know that Wi-Fi is secure? How do you know it's a legitimate one? So it's little things like that that can make big differences for your business to secure it. So what else are there? Another type are hacktivists. We know them as activists. You may remember, like in the news recently, you've got the Insulate Britain protesters, for example, you've got Extinction Rebellion, so on and so forth. But online, it might be that basically the protesters, the online ones, they don't agree with your business. It might be the principle of what you do. It might be that you've said something on your personal social media accounts that they don't agree with your opinion. They don't like it, so therefore it's caused a reaction for them. Examples are, if I use Canada Goose or Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and so on, all these designer clothing brands that arguably murder animals to the point of extinction, just so that, you know, you can have a luxury item to go and wear them in a handbag or in your shoes, or, you know, or whatever it may be, or maybe some makeup or moisturizers and so on. Another type that you might have are you've got the black hats, as we know them, or unethical hackers. So you've got people who are skilled now, more trained, who would look at hacking into networks, whether it is to plant malware, for whatever it may be. You've got to think about, in your business, you're going to have HR, or maybe it's yourself to begin with. You're going to have an accounts department. You need to pay those bills. So guess what? Data, money, criminals are going to be interested. They're going to be targeting the HR. They're going to be targeting those accounts departments. They're going to be trying to impersonate and get into your events. They're trying to get to you as a director to try and gain whatever data and information they can. Why do they do it? Well, they're either doing it for personal satisfaction, they're either doing it for financial reward, or maybe it's because you're a competitor and they don't like you and they think, do you know what, if I undermine that company, then you're not going to be a competitor anymore and all that business is going to come to me. It might be just generally to ruin the reputation of your company. And other weird, whether you want to call it wonderful reasons out there, I can't speak for everyone, sadly. But the key is we've got to be on the pulse, you know. Cyber security, it's forever evolving, and sadly I think that it's going much faster than we can catch up. They're actually leading, the criminals are leading, and it's really important that we share our experiences and help one another, whether it's on a personal level or a business level, to explain what's happened, let people know, raise that awareness, because the biggest threat that we've got at the moment is the insider threat. Now, there's, as a small to medium-sized enterprise, there's an attack every 19 seconds. Now, every attack, if you look at a ransomware attack, you're then looking at, ideally, I say ideally, as in you don't want it to be offline at all, do you, as a business? You want to be up and running. You want to minimise that collateral damage. But you're looking at 21 days where you can't run your business anymore. That's 21 days with no income, no revenue coming in. So how do you minimise it? It's the insider threat as well. We've got to educate the employees. You've got to educate your staff. Little things like passwords. Are you prompting passwords for your staff? Are you making sure that they're changing every 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it may be? There's no set rule because it has to be tailored to your business and what works for you. So when it comes to passwords, making sure you're not reusing them, making sure you're not sharing passwords, because passwords is security, I get that, but what does it lead to? It leads to your PII. And as a business as well, you've got to think about what information is out there on your website, what information is there on Companies House, because in addition, you're looking at your Companies House number, 2/3 of your date of birth is on there. You've got your registered, maybe your personal home address on there, as well as your business address. And that's more 4 nuggets of information that those criminals are going to take and try and use against you. What are they going to do with that? They're going to try and scam you. They're trying to go and try and claim, whether it be for Companies House, HMRC, and then you've got to try and prove that it wasn't you the first time round when a tax rebate or whatever came in. How can you prove that the scammers weren't you and vice versa? So it's really difficult. And with regards to the insider threat, as I said, the number one, that's normally disgruntled staff. So if you've had an employee who isn't happy for whatever reason, and they've had to have a swift exit, then it's really critical that everything is shut down with regards to them. So things like emails, making sure that they're disconnected and that they are then a separate entity from your business so that they can't cause any damage, because sadly that's the number one reasons how we generally are attacked. So what else is there? Things like how we can look after ourselves as a business and on a personal level. You might have heard of things like spear phishing, vermishing, and so on. So I'll go on to those quickly. So vermishing is the voicemail one. So it might be that you receive a phone call and someone is either a botnet or a very convincing human being botnet, and they're trying to get you to engage. So remember, criminals will always try and pressure you. They'll try and put you under pressure. They'll try and get you to try and engage with them, whether that is clicking on a link through an SMS message, where they like to, for example, recently with the Royal Mail scams, DPD scams, where they're saying, oh, you've missed your parcel. Click on this secure link and pay your $1.99. You might think, oh, well, it's only $1.99. I don't remember ordering a parcel, but fair enough. No, just stop. If you're not sure, don't engage with them. If you get a phone call saying it's from your bank or from Amazon or whoever it may be, because, again, criminals will use official companies such as DVLA. Hey, guess what? You've got a message saying you've got a tax rebate, your road tax refund. Come on. How often does DVLA ever contact us and say you've got a refund? No, doesn't happen, does it? So not to my knowledge. So if there's anything suspicious, please report it or encourage your staff to report it to you. Have a process and a system in place. If the computer devices are suddenly running slow, again, log it down, have an event logbook. It might not lead to anything at that moment in time, but maybe weeks, months, or a year later, suddenly other events have been happening and you can piece that jigsaw together. Because, God forbid, if you do get attacked, if you do get ransomware or malware embedded in your system, at least you've got that log, and then the reverse engineers, the forensics team that come in, the incident response team, they can come in and basically reverse engineer it, and they've got a nice timeline to go against. Do you have an incident response plan in place? This is something, one of the offerings I do at the Cyber Quarter as well. But if in the event of an attack, what would you do? I appreciate SMEs, you might not have the money at the moment with regards to being a startup. You certainly won't have the time. And it might be a case of you don't necessarily think you're going to be a target. And sadly, as I said, it's that will be the case, because it's not a matter of if you'll be attacked, it's when. Because it's much easier to target a small to medium-sized enterprise than it is to attack a well-established business. Okay, so because the criminals are going to know what's out there about you. They're going to go on your website, they're going to say, right, okay, what information's out there? Now, as much as I love a website, and remember, this is publicly available, readily available information. What is out there about you? And a nice little experiment you can do with your staff or maybe with people you're not familiar with, as such, maybe a new acquaintance. Get them to research one another online. See what you can find out about one another. Certainly, if you're going to employ someone, I highly recommend that you research that they are who they say they are. Certainly, coming from the background that I do, being in, ex-military, ex-police and everything, I had a job of making sure that people indeed were who they said they were. And guess what? There's a lot of, as we call, Walter Mitties out there. I had CVs saying that they're ex-SAS, underwater knife fighters, whatever it may be. They've got all the badges under the sun. They're in the commandos. Brilliant. This is great. You can be, recruited into the close protection team. And then I'll go and do my due diligence through my networks and contacts through the military. They haven't served a day in their life. So just be mindful. People will lie to you, sadly. People will impersonate. So as I said, anything to do with the way you search, think about your cookies, think about what you're using. Make sure you reject all those cookies each time, because they are monitoring and tracking you. So a little nugget here for you is instead of using the old common Google and so on, try DuckDuckGo. It doesn't track you, it doesn't monitor you, and then you won't get adverts coming up all of a sudden when you've been looking at holidays or whatever, or shopping online, and you know, you're suddenly walking down the street connected to the Wi-Fi, and then the conversation you've been having, you're getting discounts for and so on. But it's been a pleasure. I understand my time is up. Thanks very much for your time. And as I said, I'm Rachel for the Cyber Quarter. If I can help you, please do get in touch via our website. Thank you.